Hey everyone, so on August 1st, 2021, it will be the official 1-year anniversary of opening my own landscape photography gallery here in Montreal. I kind of wanted to talk about it. So if you are new to this channel, last year I kind of went ahead and decided to continue with my plan to open up my own landscape photography gallery here in Montreal. Even though it was a pandemic and things were really not sure how they're gonna go, I decided to stick to my plan and open anyway. And it's been a year since that opening, almost a year, and next week will be the official 1-year anniversary since I've opened. And I learned a lot during this 1 year. Typically, it's not a normal year, so everything that I learned really applies to running a landscape photography gallery in a pandemic time. But actually, what I learned really has nothing to do with the pandemic. It's still kind of reaffirming my belief that this space could work in a normal time or close to normal times, because even though the restrictions are easing right now, I still think it will take quite a bit of time for everything to return 100% to normal. But getting close to normal for me is always something that I'm really looking forward to. So that's why I kind of feel like my assessment, despite everything that I learned, my assessment of the space, it would still need a bit more time, maybe another year, to fully know the full potential of the gallery space and adjust my plan to it accordingly. Definitely, I do see huge potential in the space actually working on its own, being sustainable, but I can't answer that question yet. I definitely need another year in order to do that. But everything that happened in this 1 year reaffirmed my belief that it's worthwhile to be patient and give it its time, give it its due time. Honestly, with everything that you do that's worthwhile, you have to pay your dues, you have to put in the effort and be patient. So definitely for me, this is a test in patience, and as landscape photographers, we are excellent at patience because we're often waiting for sunrises and sunset that takes hours to get one photo, or we do a crazy hike or not get photos. So we're very patient people, but even so, this space has taught me even more patience, because it's been really a roller coaster of a year. And I did make a few sales during this 1 year, enough to keep my head above water. And honestly, if it wasn't for that, it would be really a big bummer. Those few sales gave me kind of a big boost and kept me going, knowing that there is interest in what I'm offering. I just need the right time and the right situation. So definitely having those sales made me feel really, really good about this space. Another thing that really I enjoyed and I quite learned about it, that you never really know after. The only way you'll know is by doing the time and putting in the effort. A lot of people that came into the gallery really enjoyed the space, really enjoyed the visual experience that it is, kind of looking at pictures of landscapes and nature that are really beautiful, and they quite enjoyed it. Everybody had positive things to say, which definitely made me feel like I am doing something worthwhile. But don't make me out to be a saint yet. This space is a commercial gallery. The only way it can keep its door open is by selling prints. People might confuse it with a museum a free museum where might they come look at the art for free, and it's free to look, but the pictures are available for sale, and the only way to sustain the business is by selling prints. Another thing I do look forward to doing in the future in the space is having events. This space is really event friendly. I have yet to really do a bunch of events because it was lockdowns and restrictions and social distancing. It was difficult to do an event properly, safely. So I do have an event planned for the 1st of August, and that will include live music. And I'm curious about that because this is the kind of event that I've wanted to do since day one. And during this 1 year, I've met a few local musicians that came in actually to play the piano that I have here in the gallery. And if I haven't left that piano in there, I wouldn't have, met those people and did this collaboration. So definitely doing events with the community, working with other artists to kind of draw attention to the art and to music is definitely a nice way to go about it, And it's a nice way to introduce people to the gallery. They can see the pictures on the wall. They can come in, enjoy the space, enjoy the experience further. And I found with events, having the pictures is enough, but you need something, you need a theme for an event, and having live music definitely helps that, because with the events that I did before, it was hard to keep people for more than 10 to 15 minutes. They would come in, look at the pictures, would talk about the photographs on the wall, but they would just leave right after, and then new people would come in. So it was never this kind of event where you'd get huge amount of people coming in all at once, you know. But if you wanted to create a buzz about the place and show an energy, people have to there has to be something to stick around for. So having live music as a kind of a highlight in the evening could be kind of interesting for events, because people can come in, you can show them the photos, you can talk about it, and you just tell them, stick around, there's going to be live music in a little bit. And this way, it's like to finish off the evening with a live performance. And I kind of work with an artist that's really talented, but the music that she plays is kind of fits well with the landscape. So definitely the two go well together. So it doesn't take away from it, it actually adds to the experience. So definitely like doing this kind of events and collaborating with local artists here in Montreal, I will definitely do that more often, because I feel like it's a good two-way street for me and the artist. And I've met a few people, and I'll probably put more events. And I'll share a few videos of the actual event in future video. You know, just the planning. It's not a crazy event. It's just the 1-year anniversary event. Just doing live music, serving a few drinks, no alcohol, because I feel like alcohol just draws the kind of people that are not really, it draws a wrong crowd, and I don't want that to be the theme of the event. I just want it to be, you know, people coming for the art, for the landscape photography and the music. So one key aspect that it's missing throughout the gallery space throughout this whole year was the tourists. There was no tourists in Canada throughout the whole year that have been open because of lockdown, because of the pandemic. So that's an important key aspect, because when you look at the dynamic of a person that lives locally versus a person that's visiting from outside, is that they both like the pictures equally, maybe more, and they might relate to one photo and want to grab it. But the problem with the local people is that, not a problem per se, the issue that I have with local people is that they might, you know, decide to think about it, go back home, take measurements, check where it's going to fit. And by the time they actually, you know, decide, it might be a month later, or they might just forget or get busy with life, or their life situation might change. So maybe they were able to buy it at some point, but then things have changed and they put it off. So definitely there is not that impulse purchase that exists with the tourist, where a tourist might like a picture, and if he's here for 2-3 days, he or she are for 2-3 days, they might decide to buy it right away because of the urgency of it. So this is a huge dynamic to making sales and having that repeat business and having things move off the shelf. Because, you know, kind of like the idea is that I would shoot new pictures, and whatever sells, I would replace it with something new to kind of keep it different in the gallery. So not being able to having a slower turnaround definitely is not ideal. The idea is that I would sell something and put something else in its place. So definitely, like, I'm looking forward to seeing tourists come back and see what that does to the dynamic of the gallery space. If my sales increase, I mean, they can't decrease, right? There's only, when you're at the bottom or near the bottom, there's only one way but up. So I'm definitely looking forward to the dynamic of when tourists come back, which is, you know, soon, August 9, that the borders will open up to fully vaccinated Americans, and September 7, it will open up to everybody else from the world that's fully vaccinated. So definitely things are going to come back, tourists are going to come back, and then I'll be able to know gradually also, you know, how things are going to go. And I feel like despite everything that's been happening, the pandemic really has taught me a lot, and it's given me an opportunity to see the place potential on its own, just with the locals. And then by the time they open up the border to the Americans on August 9, I'll be able to find out what those influx of American tourists does to my business. And then when they open the rest of the world on September 7, it will actually allow me to know what that influx of tourists from everywhere did to my business overall. So in a way, it's like, it's the best learning lesson you can have. It's like it's a blessing in disguise to really know the potential of the place on its own, just the locals, and then with American tourists coming back, and with everybody coming back to Montreal. But obviously, like in a real situation, I wouldn't be saying that. You just want to have a business that works in order to sustain yourself, sustain the business. So definitely, like, I'm just trying to look at it in a more positive way. I just wish things would return to normal so I can actually see the full potential of the place and have exactly what I want to happen. But like I said from the beginning, this place, once I know for sure the full potential of the place, if it works on its own, good. Why fix it if it's not broken? If it needs adjusting, I will definitely adjust the space to actually make it work any way possible, because I want this to work. I've invested a lot of my time and my effort in it to kind of give up too easily. So I can't, that's not really an option for me at the moment, and even for my future. If this is what I want to do with my life, be a full-time landscape photographer, I got to figure out a way to make this work. All in all, it's been really, really interesting. I definitely learned a lot in this 1 year, but I do feel like it only applies to running a landscape photography gallery in pandemic times. So the next time there's a pandemic, I will know what to do. But I am looking forward to close to normal times to see the full potential of the place. But honestly, 90% of the people that came in here really enjoyed the space. But there's always those few interesting characters that come in that will show you right now kind of how they behave. And their behavior is really, really interesting. There's always the other landscape photographer. And he comes in really looking close at the photos, examining it really up close, examining it, what it's made from, asking questions about what camera I use, what tripod I use. And those are interesting questions, and they're really, really fine. I love to talk photography. But those are the ones you can tell they're a landscape photographer right from the get-go, because they come in close and they start looking around, they start inspecting everything, and they're really usually curious about everything photography related. What I'm printing on, who I'm using to print on, what's the material, where I shot this. And usually, sometimes some of them want to show me the exact same photo they took in a better place. And they're like, oh, look at this one, look at this photo I took, and look at this photo I took, and look at this photo I took. And they maybe want to show you that they can do it better, or they just like to share, which is all fine. It's just interesting. And then there's a fast, curious one that just comes in, quick scan, and just out the door. And then there's a confused one, which doesn't quite understand what the space is. He just looks baffled by it. It's interesting, but he doesn't know quite what to make of it, and just goes on his day. And then there's the uninterested one, who just have their head in their phone, no clue to the world, just keeps walking by. And then there's a curious, but not enough to walk in the door. Just a quick look from the outside and bounce. And there's the hesitant one, which just comes in a few steps, and then the minute you approach them, they bounce back as if they're too scared. And then there's a curious one that's not a landscape photographer or anything else, just really curious, asking questions that honestly, it's none of their business. Is business good? I mean, must be tough, no? Yeah. How much you make? How much does it cost you to print? How much does that cost, the big one, to print? Ah, I see. How much does the rent cost? You make any money? I mean, it must be tough, no? As if they just want validation that it's difficult. And usually I answer them only one way, and I'm like, everything is going great, and it's going really, really well. And yes, I can pay the rent very, very easily. Everything is going great. It's none of their business to ask, but I just find it funny that they come in here with that mentality, asking questions that they usually wouldn't ask anybody else. But I don't know why, lucky me, they want to ask me that. You don't go to a restaurant and ask for the owner or the chef and ask him, how much did the steak cost? How much profit do you make on it? How much money you're making a year? How much rent is here? How much you pay for employees? You just go eat steak and pay and get out. But honestly, for what we do, we are really it's really a struggle. And I think some people, they might want to hint at the fact that it's a struggle and they want to remind you of it, but I don't see what the end game is, why they do that. So usually I just give them a really vague answer and just kind of brush them off nicely without being rude, you know. But it's always interesting that when I see that character coming in and having that tone of voice, I just find it really, really interesting. And then there's always the one that's gonna buy up everything. Nice, man. This is so nice. Wow. Wow. You know, if I had the money, I would just buy all of them. Yeah, definitely. And then there's a musician that comes in. I think I can play the piano? Yeah, sure, go ahead. Oh, it's quite nice having a piano. I mean, it needs to be tuned. Anyway, but all in all, honestly, I'm just having some jokes. All in all, it's been a really positive experience. I'm really looking forward to the next year. Hopefully, it's only going to be up from here, get even better. If you're ever in Montreal and you want to come by the gallery, I'll put the address in the description of this video. And on another note, I finally hit 3,500 subscribers, which was, for me, it felt like it was never going to get to this point. I've been waiting for it. So I want to thank everybody who followed along and subscribed in the past and followed all my videos and liked and comment. If it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't be here, and hopefully I'll get to 4K soon. So if you want to help me out, subscribe to this channel and you know, tune in for more videos in the future. So thank you everyone for watching, and if you have any specific questions about the gallery space, do let me know in the comments of this video.